Blah, 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 blah. Welcome to this lesson on a Western interpretation of the transverse regulatory modalities of the global balance method. The first slide answers the question, why is this category of global balance modalities labeled transverse regulatory? Next, the principle of using basic nominal sums to label each individual modality within the category is covered in brief, along with a diagram of each mode and its color coding. Finally, all 6 modalities within the category are presented through all 3 nominal sums and both chiral expressions, along with a brief series of notes on the iterative nature of the pedagogy in the context of the chiral expressions. Slide 1, Nomenclature. Why transverse regulatory? In keeping with the spirit of simplicity, there are 2 basic points to remember. First, transverse regulatory modalities treat illnesses across the transverse axis, such that hand treats foot and foot treats hand. Second, transverse regulatory functions are used to treat illnesses of 2 general types, cold or hot. In this set of modalities, the vessels used for treatment will span a range of thermodynamic indications that express absolute values which differ from the indications at the meridian of treatment by a single degree of the Fahrenheit temperature scale. Thus, the transverse regulatory modalities treat illnesses across the transverse plane by stimulating pairs of meridians that express single symmetrical thermodynamic ranges between them. Stimulating these meridian pairs will serve to treat the relevant cold or hot condition indicated for the meridian on the side opposite those used for treatment. For the purposes of reinforcing the academic values given, a reading of the description behind the motives for the nomenclature will be provided here. The caption for the diagram found on the lower left-hand side reads as follows. In the transverse regulatory context, a treatment is applied to meridians on one side of the transverse axis or another. The meridians to which the treatment is applied will in general have similar absolute thermodynamic functions to that of the site of indication or injury. Thus, the mode is named for the range of temperature regulation observed across the axis. The bullet points on the right provide the same information previously given from a slightly altered but entirely equivalent perspective. They are as follows. All axial modalities treat conditions with the side of the axis opposite to the site of the indication or injury. Transverse regulatory modes do this across the transverse plane, using the hand vessels to treat the foot vessels and the foot vessels to treat the hand vessels. In the transverse regulatory context, the vessels on both sides of the axis will express similar thermodynamic indications, differentiated by an absolute value of a single degree within the Fahrenheit temperature scale. Basic treatments are then applied to heal fevers or chills by treating the vessels on the side opposite the site of indication or injury. In general, the modality is named for the regulatory function it plays in mediating conditions of a cold or hot nature through the cooling and warming vessels used to treat the indications. Slide 2, Basic Nominal Sums, Transverse Regulatory 18, 26, and 34. The 3 modalities shown here are some of the more common patterns used in treating clinical complaints. Setting the semantics of their physiological expression aside, this material will provide a valid nomenclature useful for categorizing the modes themselves and their orientation within the scope of the global balance method. Proceeding from left to right, the transverse regulatory modalities are composed as follows. Transverse Regulatory 18 consists of the lung, small intestine, bladder, and spleen vessels, labeled for their nominal equation, 1 plus 6 plus 7 plus 4 equals 18. Transverse Regulatory 26 consists of the pericardium, colon, stomach, and liver vessels, labeled for their nominal equation, 9 plus 2 plus 3 plus 12 equals 26. Transverse Regulatory 34 consists of the heart, triple burner, gallbladder, and kidney vessels, labeled for their nominal equation, 5 plus 10 plus 11 plus 8 equals 34. Slide 3, Chiral Expression. The above diagrams are presented here to complete the exposition of the subject within the context of this particular modality. Understanding the chiral assignment of left or right to any one given mode in the transverse regulatory context is simply a matter of determining on which side of the body the odd-numbered channels are being assigned. Greater detail regarding the chiral expression of the imaged axial modalities as a whole will be handled in a separate video.